Now, division is kind of complicated. Decimal arithmetic is a little bit complicated because you have to keep track of where the decimal points go. Decimal division can get kind of complicated, so let's take a moment to review it. One of the reasons that decimal division can get kind of complicated is because of one of the moves that we make to make it simpler. What? Remember that when we do decimal division, we only ever want to divide by a whole number. And so sometimes we need to manipulate our dividend and our divisor to make that happen. In particular, if I were going to divide 3.81 by 0.3, my first step would be to multiply the dividend and the divisor both by 10. The problem I would actually do would be 38.1 divided by 3. Now, you might be wondering, can I do that? I can't do that in multiplication. I can't do it in subtraction. Why can I do that in division? We'll talk a little bit more about why it makes sense to multiply my dividend and divisor by the same thing before I do my division later on when we talk about fractions. For now, let's just remember that we're allowed to do this, and we'll divide 3 into 38.1. Now, I told you we make this move to make the decimal point easier to keep track of. As long as we're dividing by a whole number, the decimal point in the quotient just goes right up above the decimal point in the dividend. And then we can ignore the decimal point for the whole rest of the problem. We divide 3 goes into 3 once, with nothing left. Now we move on to consider the 8. Bring that down. 3 goes into 8 twice, with 2 left. Finally, we move on to consider the 1. 3 goes into 21 7 times, with nothing left. So, the result of our second division problem, and I claim therefore of our first division problem, we get the quotient 12.7. One of the big places that we're going to be interested in decimal division is actually when we're dividing a whole number by another whole number, and it doesn't work out nicely. For example, we might want to divide 314 by 8. Well, we can do long division as usual. 8 goes into 3 no times, into 31 3 times, because 3 times 8 is 24. Subtract, we've got 7 left. Now we look at the 4, bring that down. 8 goes into 74 9 times, because 9 times 8 is 72, with 2 left. Now, one way to deal with that would be to just say remainder 2. Another option, however, is to say, well, 314 is the same as 314.0. Adding zeros after the decimal point doesn't change anything. So I'm going to consider another 0 after the decimal point, bring it down. 8 goes into 20 twice, because 2 times 8 is 16. Now I have 4 left over. Once I commit to answering as a decimal, I'm stuck with it. I have to keep going until I have nothing left. So I need another 0. Bring that down. 8 goes into 40 5 times. Oh, and now there's nothing left. So 314 divided by 8, answered as a decimal, is 39.25. There are several reasons we're going to be interested in this sort of division. One reason is because this is the answer that a calculator will give us. Another reason is that this is going to help us gain some insight into more complicated decimals later on.